Very nice. It's a Gaura dress. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jaya Koro More Jaya Koro More Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jaya Koro More Toma bina ke dayalo jagat samsari Toma bina ke dayalo Jagat samsari Patita pavana hetu Prabhu avatara Mosamapa Chita Prabhu Rabhaibe Ara Chita Prabhu Rabhaibe Ara Aha Prabhu Nityananda Premananda Suki Mahaprabhu Nityananda Premananda Suki Kripa bolo kana goro ami bodo duki ami bodo Jaya Koro Sita Pati Advaita Dosa Bhava Kripa Bholeva Chaitanya Nita Ahaswara Nandana Uparaguna Mata Juga Deva Prabhu Lokana Oya Koro Priyachari Prabhu Srinivasa Ramachandra Sangavale Narottama Ramachandra Rangamale Naratamasa Ramachandra Rangamale Naratamasa Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Gaya Kodamore Krishna Oma Bina Gaya Dada Samsari Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Gaya Kodamore Shri Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Gaya Kodamore Gaya Kodamore Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Yeah. That new Mridanga is very cool.
Yeah.
It's a great sound. Easy to play, well designed, well manufactured. I'm impressed. So this is Savarna Sri Gaura Padma Padme, a prayer to the lotus feet of Sri Gauranga and his associates from Prarthana by Srila Narottam Das Thakur. And the translation is like this. My dear Lord Chaitanya, please be merciful to me, because who can be more merciful than your Lordship within these three worlds? Your incarnation is just to reclaim the conditioned fallen souls. But I assure you that you will not find a greater fallen soul than me. Therefore, my claim is first. Very good logic. Of course, one devotee said to Srila Prabhupada, "Oh, Srila Prabhupada, I am the most fallen." And Prabhupada's clever reply was, "You are not the most anything. My dear Lord Nityananda, you are always joyful in spiritual bliss. Since you always appear very happy, I have come to you because I am most unhappy. If you kindly put your glance over me, then I may also become happy." That's the power of association. In other words, we become happy by osmosis, by getting close to, or the mercy of, the glance of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. My dear Advaita Acharya, husband of Sita, you are so kind. Please be merciful to me. If you are kind to me, naturally, Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda will also be kind to me. Oh, Swarup Damodar, personal secretary of Lord Chaitanya, O six Goswamis, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Raghunatha Dasa Goswami, Sri Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami, Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and Sri Jiva Goswami. O Lokanath Goswami, my beloved spiritual master, I pray for your mercy also. O Srinivas Acharya, successor to the six Goswamis, please be merciful to me. Narottam Das always desires the company of Ramachandra Chakravarti, Ramachandra Sangamage. He's always desiring the company of a devotee. Now there's an extra verse in here, number 5. Gaura's love embodiment is shown by Gadadhar Pandit, Srivas Pandit, and Haridas Thakur are the ocean of mercy that is not in this book, and that generally I am not familiar with.
I usually some. But it says on the bottom there's a little explanation. It says that verse was old and most people don't sing it, was lost for some time.
Oh, did I forget mine? There's a grayish bottle in next to my coat on the bar in there.
Prabhu, could you center the mic a little bit more? It doesn't work.
Center the mic, or how about if I center myself?
Yeah.
You have two different positions, one for playing the mridanga and one for speaking. Oh, thank you very much. So that is a wonderful song about the mercy of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So today is a very auspicious day. It is the Purnima, the full moon in the month of Phalgun, and that is the anniversary celebration of the day in which Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made his advent into this world some 539 years ago in 1486. It's an easy date to remember because it's 6 years before 1492, in which Columbus sailed the ocean blue. So easy to remember. And some 12 years before that, in 1474, Sri Nityananda Prabhu made his appearance in order to pave the way for the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then later the two came together and met and began preaching the Krishna consciousness movement. Specifically, Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur started going door to door during the Navadvip pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and later when Mahaprabhu went to Jagannath Puri, Nityananda Prabhu was preaching in Bengal and going back and forth to Jagannath Puri, as were many of the Bengali devotees. Every year they would come to Puri for Rath Yatra. Rath Yatra is a very big festival. It gets over 1 million people. So it's pretty big. Our Rath Yatra is not bad. We get 200,000. Not bad. Not bad at all. Not quite 1 million, but still, considering that we're in the middle of the desert in the southwest, that's pretty good. That number may have been diminished a little bit this year because of the weather. Because as everyone knows, it never rains in November in Tucson, except for on that one time. That's the way it goes. And it's going to rain today, they say, this afternoon, with up to 45-mile-an-hour gusts of wind. Won't exactly be an outdoor evening for the restaurant. So, and there is one song in which Narottam writes, Brajendra Nandana Jai, Sachi Sutta Hoilo Se, Balaram Hoilo Nitai. So Braj Indra, the Indra of Braj is who? Maharaj Nantra. Brajendra Nandana means the son. So the son of Maharaj Nanda became Sachi Sutta Hoilose, became the son of Mother Sachi. And Balaram Hoilo Nitai, Lord Balaram became Nityananda. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born in the family of Jagannath Mishra, and his name at birth was Vishwambar, which means the maintainer of the universe. Vishwa means the universe, the whole world. So he's the maintainer of the entire world, which is an appropriate name for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and also a good name for one very talented singer friend of ours from the Maipuris, Vishwambar Sheth. So this is Vishwambar Mishra, and because he was born under a neem tree, in his childhood he was known as Nimai. And then he became a great Sanskrit scholar at quite a young age. Indeed, he was a Shrutidar. Anything he heard, he immediately not only could remember, but assimilated that knowledge. Someone else who was like that is Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So he opened his own tola, or village school, there in Mayapur, around the year 1500 or so, thereabouts, the 16th century. And he began to teach many students Sanskrit, grammar, and logic. And Navadvip area at that time was renowned as a center of learning. So, but amongst all the scholars of Navadvip, Nimai Pandit was especially respected as very expert, even though he was of such tender age, just a teenager, a young teenager, like a high schooler, like the same age as our Jamuna. But he was a greatly learned Pandit. And he also had a very impulsive and impetuous personality and nature. And they used to say that this Nimai Pandit, he is so learned and so intelligent, but he's also kind of a rascal. Always playing tricks and doing different things. If only he would become a devotee of Krishna, then he would be a great Vaishnava. Because at that time, in his Leela, Nimai was not manifesting Krishna consciousness externally to the world. And the other Vaishnavas there in Navadvip used to lament that, oh, if only Nimai Pandit would become a devotee, that would be a great catch for us. That would really strengthen the Krishna consciousness. Sangha here in Navadvip. So that was the Lord's Leela, the Lord's pastime. He did not manifest himself not only as God, but as later became apparent in his mission as a great devotee of the Lord. And therefore, he is accepted as an incarnation of Krishna, but a very unique and special avatar of Krishna. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Radhe Krishna Nahi Anya. He is the combination of Radha and Krishna, which is really far out theology, if you think about it. He's Krishna himself, but he's covered with the mood and the sentiment of Srimati Radharani. And Radharani is the greatest devotee of Krishna. The Radharani is the internal potency of Krishna. Indeed, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is the, you could say, the ultimate theological exposition of Krishna consciousness, aside from Jiva Goswami, this is broken down into a very intricate and detailed understanding in the Adi Leela, which many devotees prefer not to read because it's like, kind of slogging through molasses. It's very deep, it's very intense, it's not easy reading, very philosophical, and most of us are not so inclined. Give us a little Leela from Chaitanya Bhagavat and we're ready to go, right? Because it's very sweet. The Leela, the pastime is very sweet and very easy. Just like Srila Vyasadeva, he compiled all the Vedas, but then he thought, well, this is a little bit tough, this philosophy. So let me give the account of Krishna and his devotees in the form of the Mahabharata, which is all about the Pandavas and the Kauravas and Bhishma and all the goings on of that dynasty, and ultimately the Kurukshetra war, and contained within that narration of the Mahabharata, which is the oldest and longest epic poem in the world, some 100,000 shlokas. Just to give an indication, Srimad Bhagavatam is 18,000 shlokas, the 12 cantos. But Mahabharata is almost 10 times that. So it is a very vast work, although the editions we see are generally, like Reader's Digest condensed versions. But there's a lot there. And, but it is very attractive, all the chivalry and Kshatriya morality and principles, and sometimes immorality, and pastimes, and stories of Krishna and Arjuna and the Pandavas. And then contained within that wonderful, detailed narration is the Bhagavad Gita, which is one portion of the Mahabharata, some 700 verses or so. So that's like the hidden jewel of the Mahabharata, is the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna's perennial and succinct philosophical treatise for all souls to understand the true meaning of their life and their true identity and existence, and that the real goal is to surrender to Krishna and manmana bhavamad bhakto, to fix your mind on Krishna, manmana, and bhavamad bhakto, become my devotee, Krishna says. So that couplet is repeated twice within the Gita, just for emphasis. So Krishna came, he performed his pastimes, and then he departed back to his abode, and then gradually the Kali Yuga was waiting to manifest, but could not because of Krishna's presence on the earth. And then Kali Yuga began to assert his nefarious nature after Krishna had left this world. And the devotees in that time, headed by Advaita Acharya in the Navadvip area, they saw how all the people were forgetful of Krishna and engaged in fruitive activities, economic development, getting their children married, celebrating big marriages, which they do in India like nobody's business. In the West, a marriage ceremony is, a 15-minute affair followed by a big drunken stupor party. But in India, they go on and celebrate for days. And it's a very big thing. Only traditionally, there was no stupor and no drunkenness at all. But lots of prasad and convivial relationships amongst the two marriage families, etc. And lots of giving and charity and invoking auspiciousness from Brahmins chanting mantras and all these kinds of arrangements. So Advaita Acharya is seeing the fallen condition of society, and he himself is an incarnation of Godhead, the combined incarnation of Mahavishnu and Sadashiva. Imagine that. And so he began to call out to the Lord. And he was propitiating the Lord, worshiping him in the form of Shalagram Vishnu, and offering Ganga water and Tulsi leaves, and crying out these loud cries to plead with the Lord to come and appear, because he was saying, no one but you can save the fallen condition of human society. So you have to come to yourself. And later on, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his relationship with Advaita Acharya, was saying that I was sleeping peacefully in the Karna Jal, the great causal ocean, and with your loud cries, you woke me up and called me here. Now I am here. What do you want? Like someone is sleeping and you wake him up and they wake up. Why is in a bad mood? What do you want? Why are you waking me up? I'm just sleeping nicely. That's part of their leela, of their relationship. But there are other reasons given in the Adi Leela for the advent of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There's the internal reasons and the external reasons. Externally, he wanted to propagate the Sankirtan movement, because the time had arrived in the age of Kali for the Yuga Dharma to be established. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does not come every Kali Yuga. He only comes once in a day of Brahma, right after the advent of Lord Krishna, who only comes once in the day of Brahma. In the Dwapara Yuga, so right after that, the following Kali Yuga, Lord Chaitanya, he himself comes and inaugurates the Yuga Dharma, which is the chanting of the holy names of the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So that is one of his purposes, but that's one of the external reasons for his appearance. And the internal reasons are more esoteric and very interesting, that Krishna was thinking, Radharani's love for me is so wonderful, and I cannot understand that love. And it is so ecstatic. It appears that she is tasting millions of times more happiness from the love that she has for me than I myself am tasting. She's outdoing God, who is the unoutdoable. But that is the nature of God. He's inconceivable, and he has his as his internal potency, Radha. Actually, there's a very interesting statement in the Adi Lila, where Kaviraj Goswami says that originally Radha and Krishna were one, but they have separated themselves eternally for the purpose of tasting love and having rasa. So Krishna is Shaktiman, and Radharani is the Shakti. She's the potency, the energy, the personification of Krishna's love. And Krishna, so she's the Shakti, and Krishna is Shaktiman. That means he's the possessor of the Shakti. So although they are one in their identity, figure that out, they have separated themselves eternally for the purpose of their pastimes. Now, at when and at what point in history that happened, it is beyond time, it is beyond history. It is eternal. They have separated themselves eternally. So that is achintya. That is inconceivable to our tiny minds with their material logic. So therefore, but by the mercy of Krishna, the devotees can grasp this fact and understand it, whereas others, non-devotees, cannot. Devotees have access to Krishna Tattva, to understanding the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord and how he appears as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as Radha and Krishna, Krishna covered with the mood and sentiments of Radharani, in order to taste Radharani's love, which Krishna, Prabhupada writes in the purport, that from his position, Krishna cannot understand Radharani's love. Therefore, he appears as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to taste that love. Again, material logic does not apply. So if you try to figure it out by your mundane logic, you will fail, because it is on the transcendental platform. But by service and surrender, and by the mercy of the Lord and the mercy of his pure devotees, particularly we're thinking of Srila Prabhupada, a fully self-realized devotee who is extremely well-versed in all the intricacies of Krishna Tattva, despite what some other Gaudiya devotees may say or think. They actually do not understand Prabhupada's position, and they don't have his mercy, therefore they can't understand. And this was demonstrated by Gopinath Acharya, who is the brother-in-law of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And they were up on the roof of Maharaj Prataparudha's palace when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to Jagannath Puri, and all these devotees came. And both Maharaj Prataparudha and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya were like, whoa, when they saw the party of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associates having kirtan. They go, what kind? I've never seen any kind of kirtan like this. Never have I seen any kind of persons like this. Their effulgence is practically blinding. And the potency and the energy coming from their kirtan is just unbelievable. What is this? And Gopinath Acharya, who was one of the devotees of Mahaprabhu from Navadvip, was explaining, this is all the mercy and the potency. Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanan of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his ecstatic love in Krishna consciousness. And this is what is experienced by him and his associates. And therefore it is a very wonderful manifestation. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was saying, well, I think your Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is something special. He's extraordinary, but he's not God. After all, come on, man. He is not the Brahman. Because Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is an incarnation of Brihaspati. And before his liberation by Lord Chaitanya, he was a staunchest of the staunch Mayavadis. So staunch a Mayavadi was he that even though he was not a sannyasi, he was the greatest learned Vedantist amongst the Mayavadis, and all the Mayavadi sannyasis came to him for instruction. And then later on, he attempted to instruct Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu submitted himself, but was having none of it. So Gopinath Acharya told Sarvabhauma, said, that you cannot understand who Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is because you do not have the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees. And there's a verse in the 10th canto, Prasada Leshanu Nagrita Evahi, that one cannot understand the truths of Krishna Tattva without the mercy of the Lord or the mercy of his devotees. And because you have not gotten that mercy, therefore it is proof that you cannot understand, and therefore you have no faith. This is before the conversion of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And they were arguing, the brothers-in-law, they were arguing back and forth. And Sarvabhauma was smiling, and, but he could not accept. Later on, he realized when he was defeated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his heart cracked. It is said that Sarvabhauma, his heart was so dry, absorbed in mundane logic and offensive Mayavadi philosophy. His heart was so dry, it was like an oil cake in which all the oil had been pressed out. Like if you have a sugarcane juicer or some kind of press, and then you press all the oil out of the cake, and there's nothing left but dryness, hard and dry, and that was his heart. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu cracked through and defeated Sarvabhauma, enlightened him, and then Sarvabhauma became the greatest devotee in Jagannath Puri amongst the associates there. A very great devotee. So that was a conversion, you could say, experience, a change of heart. Srimad Bhagavatam speaks about this change of heart in the 2nd canto. I think it's the 2nd chapter. Devotional service, pure devotional service, the change in heart. Is that correct? So, but later on, he did get the mercy, and then he understood. So devotees, even the devotees in our movement, they have this realization, this understanding of Krishna Tattva, of Gaura Tattva, that is actually very subtle and difficult to achieve, and one cannot have it without the mercy of devotee. But by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, it has become available to us. And it is not only by intellectual work, although do not abandon that, but it is also empowered by what? Service and surrender and the mercy of a pure devotee. But it is propitiated by service and surrender. And that's what separates the men from the boys in Krishna consciousness, is service and surrender. And those who surrender and try their best not only to follow the practices and the rules and regulations and the procedures of sadhana bhakti, especially chanting 16 rounds and following the 4 regular principles and reading Srila Prabhupada's books and doing some practical work to help Srila Prabhupada push on this Krishna conscious movement, which he introduced by the mercy of Chaitanya and the potency of Lord Chaitanya to inundate the whole world and to end the suffering of the conditioned souls lost in the world of Maya. So that service and that surrender, it has a very purifying effect, and transcendental realization in part depends upon purity of heart and purity of mind and purity of purpose. And that is a subtle thing. It's not like material physics, but it's a subtle transcendental thing, how one becomes purified and gets the mercy of Lord Chaitanya to have some realization. Therefore, Prabhupada said concerning the distribution of his books, which, there was an explosion of book distribution initially in the 1970s, where the devotees just going out and distributing the books, selling the books, putting them in people's hands. Prabhupada called it dropping these bombs in the laps of the conditioned souls. And he said, never before in the history of the world has there been such a manifestation of interest in the subject matter of love of Godhead. So that is the Krishna consciousness movement, propagating a love of God and giving everyone a chance to partake of the nectar of Krishna consciousness and make some tangible spiritual progress towards going back home, back to Godhead. That is the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Of course, it's by his mercy, but it's also a mission. He says, I'm like a gardener and I have all these fruits of love of Godhead. And how many of these fruits can I eat by myself? I can only eat so many. Therefore, I want to distribute them and let everyone taste the fruit of love of God. Now we know that Krishna says in the 4th chapter of the Gita, Janma karma chame divyam evam yoviti tatpataha chaktva deham punar janma naitima meti sarjana. That if you know in truth about Janma, Krishna's appearance, or Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is also Krishna, Krishna's appearance, Janma karma, his activities, chame divyam, which are completely spiritual, evam yoviti tattvataha. If you understand these things, if you assimilate this through Krishna consciousness, through purification, not just fact checking and going on Wikipedia, yes, Krishna is God, according to the Hindu mythology, or something like that. But you get factual realization by service, surrender, hearing, and chanting. This is the process. And of course, there are so many details within that. And it is not it's not just a formulaic process, although there is a formula, but it is a question of purification of the heart. And even, I know that when you read some of the books of Sadhaputta, and he reveals in his books how there's higher realms, and there are higher beings in these higher realms who have a different perception of the cosmos and of the physical nature of the universe, which is very different from the modern scientific understanding, after all. And then the Temple of the Vedic Planetarium is meant to reveal this knowledge to the world. That was Prabhupada's idea. So he says in there, it's actually one of the main points in a couple of his books, that this perception, this understanding, depends upon the development of consciousness. So according to our development of Krishna consciousness, we can perceive things on a level, a higher level, a spiritual level, and understand these truths. It is possible. It is even likely if you practice Krishna consciousness nicely. As a matter of fact, Prabhupada said, it's guaranteed. It guarantees it. That if you follow this process nicely, then you will go back. And he says, don't think me a madman if I say, this was in the original Back to Godhead magazines way back in the 40s and 50s. Don't think me a madman if I say that I can go back to Godhead in this life and you can go also. But it is a transcendental reality that by development of Krishna consciousness, by getting the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, by surrendering, by serving, by hearing and by chanting, then Prabhupada says, if you follow this process, I guarantee that you will go back home, back to Godhead. Now, with Prabhupada's guarantee and stamp of approval, then what difficulty is there? We know that Krishna will honor that guarantee. Prabhupada said one time, I'm fond of quoting this, that he said, we want to get a piece of paper from Krishna that says, this man has rendered me some service. So when it's time to go back to the spiritual world, they're like, who are you? You think you could get in here? Well, I have this piece of paper from Krishna, and it says, this man has rendered me some service. Let me see that. Oh, well, okay, come on in. You're good to go. No problem. You're authorized. You're certified. Of course, ordinary people may think that we're certifiable. The Prabhupada said, do not think me a madman. Do not think me certifiable. But ordinary persons, this is far beyond the realm of their perception or ability to perceive or understand this kind of tattva. But for a devotee, it becomes very easy. What is that verse? Vatsapadam, that the whole ocean of material existence becomes shrunk up to a vatsapadam. Vatsa means a calf, and padam means a hoof print. So the whole ocean of material existence, which is impossible to cross, you can't do it, becomes shrunk up to the size of a hoof print of a calf, a little puddle that any child can easily jump over. And that's also there in the Bhagavad Gita, that Daivihesha Gunamayi, Mama Maya Duratyaya, you can't cross over this ocean of the material energy, which is my transcendental energy. It's empowered by Krishna. You can't, Mam Eva Ye Prapadyante, except who? Mam Eva Ye, certainly one who surrenders. Prapadyante means surrender. One who surrenders to me can easily cross beyond it. So Lord Chaitanya has created, Prabhupada calls it, this unique loving network of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which creates a facility for the souls to give up their attachment to sense gratification, their long, interminable entanglement in the clutches of the illusory energy, and go back home, back to Godhead, and taste that higher love. Now, no one can come up to the level of Radharani's love for Krishna. That is Radharani's realm. But still, that love is distributed and is the natural birthright of all spirit souls. Now, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Roy were having a discussion about the goal of life. Very famous discussion. And Lord Chaitanya says, what's the ultimate goal? And Ramananda Roy says, to perform one's duties in Varnashram Dharma. Lord Chaitanya was like, no. Ego bhai. That's external. Give me something else. Try something else. Finally, he got to the point of love of God. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, yes. He said, but I think there's more. Go on. There's more. Give me more. And they began discussing the various levels of rasa, culminating in the Madhurya rasa, which includes all the flavors and intricacies of the other rasas, especially Dasya, Sakya, and the fraternal ras, parental ras, and then ultimately, of course, Madhurya ras, which is, relatively speaking, all of them are perfect, whatever rasa one is in, one's natural position. That's perfect, but comparatively, if one analyzes it scientifically, then Madhurya rasa is the topmost rasa. And Lord Chaitanya said, yes. So go on, tell me more. And then he starts discussing Radha's love for Krishna and the love of the gopis, which is a reflection of Radha's love. And how actually that the manifestation of Radha and Krishna's Leela is incomplete without the gopis. The gopis are part of the whole package. You don't have just Radha Krishna alone somewhere with maybe a peacock and a cow, and that's it. No. You have the gopis and the cowherd boys and Mother Yashoda and Maharaj. It's a complete package exhibiting all the various rasas. And that is the manifestation of Krishna's spiritual, the complete wholeness of his, the complete package of his spiritual energy. And as they were talking more and more about Radha's love, Lord Chaitanya was encouraging him. Ramananda Roy said, I don't think up until now anyone in the material world could discuss this tattva to this level. He said, however, he said, I don't even know what I'm saying. He said, you're causing me to speak. And I'm just like a puppet, and you're pulling the strings, and you're making these words come from my mouth, this realization issuing from my mouth, and then you are listening to it at the same time. He said, and that is a great mystery to me. And Lord Chaitanya said, okay, yeah. Go on, more. And as they pushed further and further into understanding the intricacies of Radha's love for Krishna, then again, Ramananda Roy brought up the same point. He says, I don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm just speaking whatever you make me speak. He says, I'm like a stringed instrument, and you're the master musician, and you're vibrating the instrument and making the beautiful music. But I am just an instrument in your hands. That is also in Bhagavad Gita. What is it? Nimitta bhavam. What is it? Nimitta matram bhavasabhya sachin. Thank you. That just become an instrument. Surrender to me utterly and become an instrument. So Ramananda Roy is saying, I'm just like that instrument, a string instrument. You're vibrating the wires, you're pulling the strings. And then they got to a certain point where Ramananda, Lord Chaitanya was pushing him further to reveal more. And Ramananda said, well, let me sing you a song of my own composition about the further depth of the intricacies of Radha's love for Krishna. And at that point, Lord Chaitanya put his hand over Ramananda's mouth. It's like, okay, this is going to be in the Chaitanya Church I'm reaching. We can't go anymore. We're not going to go any further than this. This is all you're going to get, fellas. You want more, then you have to surrender and serve and hear and chant, and then you will get these realizations. You will go beyond. But for now, that's the limit. We're not going to speak of it. And then they went on and spoke some more. After that, hand over the mouth. I love that hand over the mouth. Like, you can't say that. It's just, the understanding is too intimate. It is too elevated. The conditioned souls, they can't hear this until they're ready. So let's cap it there. Such are the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in distributing love of God freely, and in, of all times and places, the Durn Kali Yuga, which is the abode of everything inauspicious. I was thinking of, maybe in the future, later on, when the Krishna conscious movement becomes more prominent in the world, they will write a history about the current epoch we're in, called the rapid decline of modern civilization. Because we see it going down the tubes day by day. That's what happens when you put the rascals in charge. Papa said the people are like dogs, and they elect the biggest dog. And then it becomes intolerable. for everyone. Just the destruction of all decency and good qualities. They become obliterated by the inauspicious activities of the non-devotees. But then he said, someday history will recognize how the Krishna consciousness movement rose up to save the world. We may see that day, but don't count on it. Oh yeah, my next life, in my next birth, the Krishna conscious movement will be more strong. Well, you don't know how long it takes once you leave your body and you get to your next body. Better finish up now. I want to stay here, serve in the material. No. Prabhupada said, don't make me come back to get you. Because the devotee asked Prabhupada that Prabhupada, if a devotee doesn't make it, in this life, then do you come back and save him? Prabhupada said, don't make me come back. Don't make me come back to get you. Don't do that to me. So we have love for Prabhupada, then we have to honor what he has given us and fulfill our commitment and complete our lifetime of Krishna consciousness, which is extremely auspicious. So let's see. Oh yeah, the historical epoch in which Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lived and preached, it's a very interesting time in the history of India, because that was the time, especially in the 15th and 16th centuries, when the Mughal Empire became well established all over India. And so the Muslims were in charge. So it was a tough time for the Hindus, especially later on when Emperor Aurangzeb came into power. He was called the Hindu-hating emperor. And also at that time, the Portuguese were establishing their empire in Goa. And some devotee has claimed that in the Portuguese history, there is an account of a dancing golden giant in India, traveling all over India, chanting and dancing. And those who saw him were completely astonished, because apparently Lord Chaitanya was about 7 feet tall, which is a lot taller than most Bengalis. A lot taller than most anybody, except for certain, the Ukrainian or Eastern European NBA stars. Slavic guys. So there is that historical account. I was unable to verify that and find any reference to it after searching online. But I thought that was a good story anyway, because the Portuguese had a big colony there in Goa on the west coast of India and the Arabian Sea. And let's see if there's any other concluding thing. So yeah, we'll stop there. And we do have time for questions, comments, or realizations, since there's no mad rush for the prasad line this morning. If there is no prasad line this morning, who would like to contribute to the discussion? Yes.
Thank you for the nice class. It's nice to be back in Tucson here. These classes, such nice classes here. You're speaking of how it's a complete package. It's not just Krishna. It's not just Krishna and Radha. It's the whole package. And in Mayapur, just coming from there, Radhamadava Astasaki, there's the 8 primary sakis there, and you see them all together. And
pretty impressive.
It really enhances Krishna's beauty. And I've been speaking with devotees about it, because we're speaking of how beautiful the deities are. Sometimes we say, I almost feel bad because Madhava is so attractive that I don't look at the other, gopis, but it's actually, we were saying that actually, if you look at all the gopis are also looking at Madhava. Everybody's looking at Madhava. And in that way, it increases the beauty of Madhava to be around with all the gopis, with Krishna, with his energies. And so you can actually see that in Mayapur. You can see that, how that's true, how Krishna's energies enhance his own beauty. It's very nice.
I could just imagine some fanatical brahmacharis. Don't look at those gopis. Here's Maya Prabhu. Quit staring at those gopis. That's the only reason you come to the temple. You just want to see those female forms. But this is a transcendental beauty of Radha and Krishna and their associates. What to speak of the gigantic forms of Panchatattva. Wow, so beautiful, so wonderful. Okay, Sureshwar Prabhu.
Yeah, it's true what you said about Wikipedia can't bring us to the highest realms of understanding Mahaprabhu. But according to Wikipedia, Vasco da Gama, the Portuguese explorer, was the first European to reach India by sea. So it might have been da Gama that saw Mahaprabhu.
Well, it was that time period. Of course, there were plenty of, actually there was, that's bogus. There was plenty of ocean-going travel to and from India, from other places. He was maybe the first European.
Yeah.
But the Romans had trade with India.
Well, you mentioned Portuguese.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, Vasco da Gama was a Portuguese.
Yeah.
He was the first to circumambulate the globe in Western, or whoever.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, it could have been seen.
Yeah, Wikipedia has its limits. Although sometimes, if you're very expert, you can extract some drops of Krishna conscious nectar from articles that devotees have written on Wikipedia. Many of the historical things about Krishna consciousness that you can find on Wikipedia, they're written by devotees and devotee scholars.
Yeah, you can tell.
And you can always tell the difference between one's written by a mundaner and one's written by a devotee. You can sniff it out really fast because the devotees have a higher consciousness and a bona fide understanding based on guru, sadhu, and shastra, which we try to base everything on guru, sadhu, and shastra, and not Wikipedia and speculation and mundane scholarship. Yes. All right. Then someone else? Yes, Damodar Prabhu.
You mentioned at the start that Lord Nityananda appeared before Lord Chaitanya. What was the time difference on that?
12 years.
12 years, okay.
He appeared in 1574. The village of Ekachakra. The son of Hadai Pandit and mother Padmavati. All right.
Is Ramananda Roy a certain other famous personality? Is he just Ramananda Roy, or is he?
He's Vishaka Devi. One of the Radharani's best friend, one of the principal gopis. That's Ramananda Roy. Vishaka Devi. That's like, that's up there. She's one of the 8 principal gopis and the confidant of Srimati Radharani. So yeah, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes, he comes, Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Sango Pangasta Parshadam. He comes with his associates, Parshada. So the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are all Krishna's associates in the spiritual world. And there's a book called Gaura Ganesh Deepika. Deepika means a lamp. And that lamp illuminates who these personalities were in Krishna Lila. And Prabhupada quotes extensively from Gaura Ganesh Deepika in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. When different personalities are mentioned, then he gives references from those verses in Gaura Ganesh Deepika about who they were in Krishna Lila. So all the associates, the parishads, they're not just like regular guys and girls. They're Krishna's associates. The 6 Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Sri Rupa Manjari. So these are he's a great scholar. He speaks many languages. He was vastly experienced in the world, but he has access to knowledge of the subject matter of love of Krishna. Therefore, he's called the Rasa Acharya, the spiritual master and teacher of rasa, because he's one of the gopis. He knows. Do you think the gopis just know how to milk cows? No, they know a lot more than that. They know how to love Krishna. They know the science of loving Krishna. Although in their Leela, they're covered by Yoga Maya and they just are acting like cowherd boys and cowherd girls. But they're far beyond any ordinary cowherd boy or cowherd girl in some village somewhere in North India. These are the highest realized yogis, the greatest scholars and philosophers, and knowers of the science of Krishna Tattva. So Ramananda Roy, he's really way out there in terms of his understanding of love of Krishna. Even though he humbly says that I didn't know that anyone in the material world could even speak on this level. And why are you making me speak all this? I didn't know this stuff. But yes, he does know. He's realized. And he's empowered. All right, anyone else?
Vishaka is the banner right next to Radharani.
Yep.
In the eighth, when you see the eighth.
She's the president of the fan club. They have different clubs. Like a devotees come into Mangal Artik when they're offering the fan, then they're the fan club. Then if they don't come in until the Nrsimha prayers, it's the Lions Club. Then there's the Breakfast Club. So if one is going to be a member of the Breakfast Club, one should also be a member of all the clubs. The conch shell club, the curtain opening club. Just a little aside there. You want to add?
Yeah, I got a copy of the Gaura Gunadesha Deepika in Mayapur. Bhanu Swami translates all these books, and they're real cheap there, a little small. And read some of it, really nice. But I also took a class after I finished my Bhakti Vaibhav stuff. Mayapur Institute was offering some free classes, and Padmanabhan Prabhu was teaching one class on just Rupa Goswami's teachings. And nice point he brought out was that Lord Chaitanya, he had this intimate knowledge of Radha and Krishna, and he could have distributed to any one of his associates. But actually, because like Lalita, Sarup Damodar and Ramananda Roy, and Advaita Acharya, Nityananda Prabhu, they were his equals in the spiritual world. They're the same age, Lalita, Vishaka, Radharani. But because Rupa Goswami is Rupa Manjari and is in the role of a younger person, he was able to give that transcendental, intimate knowledge of rasa to Rupa Goswami, specifically because they had this relationship of older and younger in the spiritual world. And so it's amazing that, how that Rupa Goswami then just distributes it to all of us. That's just the immense mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that we're having access to this. So,
and Rupa Goswami, he wrote one verse after hearing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recite a verse. He wrote another verse to explain that verse. And then he wrote it on a palm leaf and put it in the hut, the thatched roof of his hut, and he went to bathe in the sea, in Jagannath Puri. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came there while he was bathing, and he found that verse. And he goes, Rupa Goswami understood when I recited that verse, the inner meaning. How could he have understood that? And then Sarup Damodar said, my Lord, my guess is that you must have empowered him to understand your mind. Therefore, because Chaitanya was like, how could he understand my mind? And Sarup Damodar like, I know how he understood. Because you empowered him to understand the deeper truths of Krishna consciousness, which he did, and then he went on to write the wonderful books that Rupa Goswami has written. So he was empowered by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to understand the higher truths of Krishna consciousness and to write those down. And then Prabhupada has distributed those truths in the form of Nectar of Devotion and Chaitanya Charitamrita. Never before in the history of the world has there been such an interest in the subject matter of love of God. Because of what Prabhupada has presented. I mean, it's if you think about it and you consider it, it's just unbelievable. And here we are getting that mercy just freely given to us. Just take it and drink it in and then distribute it. This is a whole scheme of the unique loving network of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees. What an unbelievable fortune to stumble upon Krishna consciousness after sojourning in the material world for billions of lifetimes. All right, we'll stop here then. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Sri Gaura Purnima ki jai.
I was there.